8. Today we're going to talk about Katie Mitchell. All right, we're going to start off a little brief biography. So, Katie Mitchell was born on the 23rd of September in 1964 in Berkshire, England. She went to Magdalen College in Oxford to study English. She began working in theatre at King's Head Theatre in London. Her first assistant directing jobs were at theatres such as the Royal Shakespeare Company and Payne's Plough, I think is how you say that. And while at the Royal Shakespeare Company, she directed The Phoenician Woman, for which she won an Evening Standard Award for Best Director in 1996. She wrote The Director's Craft, which outlines her methods of directing, and it was published in 2009. She is also known for being a British theatre exile, which we'll get into later, but it basically means that her work was so controversial that some British theaters were like, you can't direct here. So she ended up spending a lot of time directing in Germany and in France. So she has a pretty staunch reputation. Mitchell is described as a director who polarizes audiences. Her work is often controversial, and she has a heavy-handed and personal influence over her productions, though she says this is not her intent. She often directs classic plays with a twist, such as setting a new take on Hamlet from the point of view of Ophelia's bedroom, turning the story into a feminist tale. I know this sentence is a little confusing, so let me break it down. So basically, there was a play rewritten, like a version of Hamlet that was rewritten and told kind of from Ophelia's perspective, and Katie Mitchell set it in Ophelia's bedroom. She is often viewed as an auteur, which has earned her as much praise as it has criticism. She prioritizes her vision over the text and makes adjustments as necessary to achieve her goals. A while ago, she directed The Seagull by Chekhov, and she got a lot of criticism for it because there was a lot of the text that she kind of rewrote or like rearranged around to make it fit her vision. Some people loved it, some people hated it. As it says, she's very polarizing. Her aesthetic is a lot different than what a lot of people are used to. It can be described as immediately recognizable, innovative, naturalistic, and dark. She greatly opposes breaking the fourth wall. In the past decade, she has worked on many classic plays by involving film into the medium, such as projecting close-ups of the actors for a clearer view of their expressions. She often works with set designer Vicky Mortimer on plays that take place in one setting over an extended period of time. They are often bare, simplistic, eerie replicas of the time period of the play. So here are some photos. I know it's really hard to see, but this is basically like it's really eerie. It's like dark, kind of decrepit looking. Like this is one side of the stage and this is another side of the stage, and it basically looks like kind of like a Victorian house that was like this part looks haunted and this part looks normal. Here's another one. It's just kind of eerie, simplistic, nothing too complicated, some doors back there. It's pretty cool. And then this last one, which I think is the coolest, is you can see here, this is a projection of an actor that's on stage. The actor is over here and the camera is right here. I know it's hard to see, but this is a projection of that actor. And so basically, she's incorporating the different angles that can happen on stage and still projecting them, so you're still viewing live what's happening on stage with just kind of an updated version of what's happening. Here are some quotes. The audience is like a fly on the wall. Everything has to be lifelike. Every tiny detail of human behavior is put in unedited, as opposed to airbrushed with conventional, polite gestures. So to me, I thought this was really cool because she's saying that she doesn't want the theater experience to necessarily be like you're escaping into a different story. She kind of wants it to be like a little bit more realistic, a little bit more like where you're seeing yourself in it. And then she goes on to say, this is actually from the same article, so they're kind of on the same subject. How we are in life, if you really scrutinize it, is not smooth and beautiful. It's odd and strange. I'm much more interested in lifelike behavior than the romantic production of well-spoken language. I'm interested in audience recognizing themselves in the behavior that they see on stage. So this is kind of like what I was saying, how she's more invested and more interested in like things being more raw and more uncomfortable than like perfect and like precise. So why I chose Katie Mitchell. I chose Katie Mitchell for pretty superficial reasons because my name is Kate and her name is Katie. And also just because I like learning about women more than I like learning about men in theater. And it's especially kind of hopeful to see that female directors can be so polarizing that female directors can take their kind of art and then run with it. They don't have to necessarily make beautiful art that everybody loves to be respected. They can still make art that not everybody likes and still make a name for themselves. And I thought that was really cool because it takes a lot of the pressure off of women having to be perfect to be equal. And I also just, as I was doing my research, I just really began to appreciate her fearless approach. She doesn't care how she'll be perceived or how she'll be received by critics and stuff, only about telling the story she wants to tell. Even if she does have to adjust the script a little bit, she's going to tell the story she wants to tell, and I think that's admirable. I admire her obsession with precision and movements, so understood and lifelike they're choreographed to be uncomfortable. I also really admire her insistence on not breaking the fourth wall. So this is something she's like hardcore on, is that she doesn't want the fourth wall broken because she thinks it takes you out of the experience, and that if the fourth wall isn't broken, then you can stay in the experience the whole time. And I'm not saying that if I were a director, I would never break the fourth wall, but I do think it's kind of cool that that's like a stance that she's taken. And then why you all should know Katie Mitchell. I think the class should know more about her because she is so polarizing that almost everyone involved in theater will know her. She'll be an example of horrible work and of great work because of her controversy. So some people will laud Katie Mitchell as like an example of what not to do, and other people will be like, well, she's amazing, I love her. And it just kind of goes to show that there's a lot of differences and different opinions in theater, and you don't have to have one certain opinion or one certain aesthetic to make it work. And that's it on Katie Mitchell. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye.